All right. Good morning, YouTube. Looks like we're live. Welcome to Monday. Where are we starting out here? Sorry about that. Hope everybody had a good one. Enjoyed your weekend. We've stayed out of trouble up to this point. We've been getting some rain out this way on your updated weather map there. Looks like some severe weather out in the just running a straight line from Wisconsin to Michigan. Madness. But yeah, we got some pretty good rain. If you missed the vlog from this weekend, Saturday, and then both nights last night, got some rain. Springtime is delivering. Let's go check in, see if we got anybody with us this morning. Tactical Tony, what's going on? Doesn't everybody hate Monday? Barry, what's going on, Barry? You got sunny for once, huh? Instead of everybody else is wet, you're sunny. And caregivers up. How you doing this morning? I should say you're way ahead of us. Why would you not be up, right? But yeah, what's going on in everybody's area? What's everybody seeing out there? I don't have but a couple things tuned up here. Throw some stuff out there. So you're off all day, Tony? Is that right? Or did you just get off? Do you work weekends now? Your schedule's all messed up. But throw anything out there you're seeing in the news. We'll briefly hit the highlight of the day with the dedication of the embassy in Jerusalem. People are freaking out. Stories of, I think, at least 3 attempted bombings taking place along the border wall in Jerusalem and whatnot to protest this whole thing. And as it says here, I think they said 32 killed, 900 are injured in this article. 35,000 protests. And if we get 35,000 people to protest D.C., we'd be set. But we're not quite that in tune. So that's going on live pretty much, I think. They're doing that dedication ceremony for the embassy and whatever they're doing. You can still find live links, I believe, to what some of the speeches and whatnot, and all the pomp and circumstance, and everybody glad handing each other over the whole thing. I guess that's some of the scenes of it. Of the protest level, at least. I guess. They definitely went all out in this deal. When it came to protesting, at least. And I guess that's a live shot right there. So what does it all really mean? I can't figure out what all the focused energy is all about. Why not focus your energy on something that you can actually change somebody out there? But anyway, so that's going on, causing hate and discontent as usual. Trump was tweeting it up, I guess, as well. So nobody was happy about that. Even those that were happy were never happy. So I'm sure we'll hear more about this going into the rest of the day, because it's all at the top of the Drudge Report. Is the whole top half is all links for that. So it looks pretty peaceful now. Everybody just chilling out, doing the standard stand around and do nothing Middle East stance. But let's bounce around out here. We'll come back and close out with this just to see how everybody's still standing around. Don't move. It's got to be what, late afternoon there? Getting close to, yeah, you can see the long shadows starting to get a little longer. So it's got to be 6 p.m. or so there. But let's bounce over to a Zero Hedge article here that I found. Hey, good morning, Tommy boy. How you doing? Staring gas. That might be a waste to stockpile. You might be able to find better ways to clear your perimeter, at least. I wouldn't want to be messing with it. So here's an article on the Zero Hedge you picked up this morning. It, as you can see the headline, audible gasp when the Chicago Fed unveiled its solution to the pension problem. So this came out of a Federal Reserve Bank in Chicago, I guess. They proposed an idea. They proposed levying across the state, in addition to current property taxes, a special property assessment they estimate would be about 1% of actual property value each year for 30 years. And then they published it. So it was first spoken verbally, and then they published it, and the link is here, and they released Fed information in the link. They call it here the most blatantly inhuman and foolish ideas they've seen yet. But the idea is the homeowners with houses worth $250,000 would pay an additional $2,500 per year in property tax. Homes worth $500,000 would pay an additional $5,000 in property tax, and those of $1 million or more obviously pay $10,000, etc. as you go up. Talk about inflationary policies and talk about destroying home values. Everybody would just go rent, which is what they want. So if you look behind the veiled implications, like consolidate the property market into rich hands, it's the ultimate goal anyway. The only ones that get the pensions, nobody else. Because really, what pensions are they talking about? They're talking about government pensions. They're talking about pensions that are government backed. The average, I don't know why it's Illinois specific. I mean, why would the Chicago Fed be speaking about Illinois policy? But maybe that's why they're going to break it down. They're going to break down the country into federal control zones by Federal Reserve Bank. Maybe that's what they're looking at. says the average property tax in Illinois is 2.67%, the highest in the nation. And that's this graph right here, the average property tax. And it looks like Texas actually has some pretty high property tax as well, it looks like. With Indiana, I don't know why they jump over to Indiana being at 38th, but it shows them as well. Wisconsin, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri. Maybe it's because those are all border states with Illinois. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it looks like they just included border states for good measure. If you wanted to move out of Illinois, you'd definitely be paying lower property taxes just moving a state away. Indiana being at 0.88%. This is pretty good. Nevada's down there in that range somewhere. It's not over a percentage, I don't think, unless you're in Vegas. Tony, tell me. Who we got in the side chat? Tommy Boy 9 showed up. What's going on? Good morning. Oh, you said that sarin gas comment. M. Long's with us. Good morning. How you doing? Right, 12 Fed Reserve zones, right? That further breaks it down. Like they want to do spheres of control. They just break up the country into Federal Reserve Bank control zones and just digs down a little bit further than the FEMA regions. What are 10 FEMA regions? Something like that? Or maybe they'll join FEMA and the Fed together. Overtaxation, something to do with history, right? Yeah, I think I remember something about that in history class. There was something. I remember it's so long ago, though. Do they still teach history like that? Yeah, it says here in South Cook County, they already average over 5% in property tax. That's just your property tax, and your property's your most valuable asset. Like you're paying more in property tax than you do in any other property, than any other tax probably in counties like that. And your income tax is higher than that. So not only is it hard enough to even pay the bills, yeah, leave Illinois while you still can. People floating stupid ideas like that. The Fed says that maybe you could make the tax progressive by exempting lower values, but that's very difficult to do. And if you did somehow exempt the poor and working class, the bill pushed to the others would be astronomical. Yeah, these bankers need to be put out of a job. They need to be. If you can't put them under the prison, you just got to bury them under the prison. Yeah, you got to think about it. It's like if somebody wants to put a property tax on you, how many people are just going to hang on, continue to pay it because you can't afford to leave or it's too scary to leave? So it doesn't say exactly which state pension plans they're talking about saving, but that's what the discussion revolved around. And it was a proposal, I guess, given to Illinois lawmakers. Yeah, totally off the cuff comment. It's definitely floating an idea out there for people to take grasp off. So some state legislature person, in Illinois or elsewhere for that matter, to grab a hold of, like, yeah, we'll just tax them more. That'll always work. That'll save my pension. Insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? That's all that is. So that's in the links for you to check out. Definitely links in here to the Chicago Fed statement and other links to some of the Illinois property taxes and whatnot, different in this graph and whatnot. So definitely something to check out. Get a viewpoint from the inside of what it's kind of plans they're trying to put in place for us, because that's all it is, incrementalism. Oh, they started moving. They got they're bringing in more tires to burn, it looks like. That's always a good protest tactic. Remember this. I wonder why the Daily Mail doesn't have a live view from the other side of the border. I guess they figure most of the action is going to be on this side right here, I guess. Oh, and now they're bringing the ambulance to block your view so you can't see what's going on behind it. Barry, you pay $140 a year. That's a good deal right there, Barry. That's the way to roll. Yeah, there's some places you can stick your property pretty cheap. But the biggest problem with property taxes is that who really owns it. Don't go a while without paying your property tax. See what happens, right? Yeah, that's pretty expensive there, caregiver, for Tennessee. Seems like in my math in my head that seems expensive. But going off of that article, there was also this CNBC article here. And I was trying to get my head wrapped around how federal tax cuts leave states in a bind, so thought I'd read it. So in some cases, states have to decide whether to apply any of the unexpected revenue windfall to other priorities. They're acting like that's a problem. Like states are going to have a problem finding a place to spend any additional money they may have. Because most states use federal definitions of income and have not adjusted their own rates. The federal changes will have big consequences for both state budgets and taxpayers. And governors and state legislators are contending with how to adjust their own tax codes to shield their residents from paying more. And that only applies generally to the really highly taxed states, because the new tax code doesn't allow you to deduct your state income tax from your federal income tax application, whatever you want to call it. So what are they getting? How does this put states in a bind by having more money? Yeah, it's talking about how so it doesn't directly affect state budgets, right? But will mean more income will be the subject to taxation, because most states use the federal definition. If you have an income tax in your state, you're going to end up paying more to the Fed because of that. In Minnesota alone, they estimate that residents could pay $400 million additional state tax because of the new federal law. I don't know how that makes sense. That's because there's more money in the economy to spend in Minnesota? Is that why? Here's something you never thought you'd hear. The state's Democratic governor wants to give most of that money back to Minnesotans through tax cuts aimed at low and moderate income families. So because the tax law, here's an example right here. So because the tax law eliminated the personal exemption and made other changes, if you are taxed to the example here is family of five and you're earning 70,000, you get taxed at 36,000 as income, but because of the removal of the personal deduction exemption, taxable income could be up to about 46,000, so it changes your amount taxed. Goodness, thought taxes were complicated before. You'd think removing some taxes makes it easier, but it's always just a scam. Yeah, because of that tax being left over with the Fed, it leads you to be paying more in state taxes if you pay a state income tax. That's the roundabout way to say it, I guess. That's definitely something to check out if you're concerned about your taxes that you pay. Nevada, that's one benefit of Nevada is no state income tax. Not that the Democrats haven't tried. This is all based on Minnesota examples. So they're targeting Minnesota for some reason. But that's something to look into for your next year's taxes in particular. I guess it had some effects this past year, but won't fully be felt until next year. Let's check back in on our. Oh, they changed their view. That's looking back across the other way, it looks like. People milling about smartly. I don't know how this is different than any other day. Every time I drove through the Middle East, there's more men just standing around than there are doing anything else. Tony, I saw that you talking about that, Tony, talking about the ad campaign to not buy illegal fireworks there in Vegas. Yeah. Are you having a big biker party there, caregiver? Is this one of those places where the number of motorcyclists outnumber the population of the town? It looks like. I don't think Baldwin's probably that big. Tens of thousand bikers roll in. Oh, you gonna do video of that, caregiver? Come on, that should be interesting. You could even live stream it. Well, we're about ready to wrap up this, folks. Anybody else got anything they want to throw out there to the chat room or anything? Anything going on? Issue you want to bring to light? 30 to 70,000 motorcycles. That's crazy. That is a lot of bikes. And what's the population? Like 20,000 maybe? look it up real quick. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Is this right? Okay, I just did a quick Google on it. Caregiver. It says Baldwin's population is 1,200, roughly. That where are you gonna park all those bikes? There ain't enough parking spaces, and it's all wooded. There ain't no open fields or nothing, right? That's kind of like Burning Man. They just go up in the desert, pop a bunch of people up in there. You got 30,000 people with. They basically build a whole city around it. Where are you gonna get all the porta johns for all these people? That'd be a mess. 30,000 motorcyclists in a town like that. Yeah, the town ceases to exist. That'd be a lot of fun. Hey, Tony, we'll see you later. Tommy boy, you have to look at how you wrote that. It's going to be 90 degrees in chat today. In the chat, it's going to be 90 degrees. I guess you're saying Chattanooga, but I got you. It just looks funny when you see it in the chat. Try to find. Yeah, I couldn't imagine there is a place to eat normally in Baldwin, and then you get 30,000 people. Be a good day to own a food truck. Roll in there with a food truck, you'd be set. Probably make a pretty good grip of money. Well, folks, hope you had a good weekend. If you decided to go to Baldwin, Michigan for the bike rally, definitely take your own porta potty and bring your cooler. Everything else will be sold out probably. We're just doing another live look in on the border up in Jerusalem, supposed protest. It looks like it's all calmed down here before the evening, but apparently there was some pretty big ruckus earlier in the day. If you didn't catch it at the beginning of the chat, the sun's starting to go down there, so this is some video from earlier in the day, and they're burning tires, etc. Looks like. Throwing some tear gas out. Yeah, this is the daily article in your links below. Lots of pictures to go check out, and this live feed, which I guess there's multiple live feeds you can get off of the Drudge Report. They've got a live link to the YouTube feed here for somebody. It's the White House feed. So that's the speech. And that one's over. Thankfully, we missed that. Whew, got here just in time. So that's going on. All right, y'all get out there and kick it in the rear for a Monday. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, hopefully. I guess Tony's setting up a chat here any minute, or in the next hour, he said. So go check that out if you feel the need. Hey, good morning, Alicia. How you doing? Thanks for dropping in, checking in on us. For Iran to shoot a missile at Jerusalem. Well, it'd be good, Tommy boys, if Iran shot a missile and hit our embassy in Jerusalem, right? I don't know. Do they have that much range to actually land that far in town? I wonder. They usually hit like right on the border there in the Golan Heights and stuff. I don't know if they have the capability in Syria to the Iranian missiles and whatnot to hit where our embassy is, but that'd start a nice kerfluffle. It'd make things interesting. You slept in, Alicia. I guess it's almost 8 there, huh? Hey, if that's sleeping in, that's not a good situation. All right, we'll cut it out, folks. Have a good day. Live free.